Hi there and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. About 86% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. Please help me out and subscribe below. And if you like this kind of thing, make sure you like it. All those things really do help out the channel. If you're listening on podcast, welcome. I am anywhere you listen to podcasts. And today we're discussing all things Valentines, and I'm kind of excited about it because there's a few tidbits of information, some facts, some little stories that I learned that I never knew before, and so that kind of always excites me, you know, when you learn something new. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we are going to talk about some facts. We are going to talk about a little chubby dude with wings and an arrow. We all know who that is. We are going to talk about when did we start celebrating Valentine's as the kind of holiday we know today. Is it a Hallmark holiday or is it a real holiday? And we are also going to talk about when were the heart-shaped chocolate boxes started? When were the card traditions, when did that start? So they're the kind of things we're going to talk about today, along with a few little other things thrown in. I will try to keep it to about a half an hour, but as you know, sometimes I'm a little short, sometimes I'm a little long, so we're just going to wait and see. And if you're ready, let's just get right into it. From Cape Breton, it's Saturday night. So some of the facts I learned when I was researching, and all the sources I went to get this information will be listed below. Whether you're watching the video for this podcast or just listening on audio, the information will be in the show notes or the description. So one of the facts I learned, which I did know before, was that St. Valentine was a real human being. He lived in the 3rd century, and there's some contradictory information as far as like when he lived and when he died. But the most common number I saw was he died in the year 270 AD. So that would be the 3rd century. Pardon me. I'm dry today. Who else is having a dry winter? I mean, congestion-wise. We're certainly not having a dry winter in the outdoors. We got some snow and rain yesterday. Oh, what a mess. But anyway, I digress. So, he was a real person and died, like I said, in the 3rd century. Spoiler alert. We didn't really celebrate Valentine's Day as a society, as a people, until like the 14th century. So there's quite a bit of a time gap between when Saint Valentine died to when we started celebrating Valentine's Day. Now, I don't know what happened in that time. I don't think anybody truly knows what happened in that long period of history. I'm sure a lot happened. But what I do know was Saint Valentine was beheaded for marrying Christian couples. That seems a little odd for a Roman in and around Rome, where Christianity was kind of its birthplace, was beheaded for marrying Christian couples. So, that's a bummer, and kind of sus, but that's the fact. I mean, how else are you going to say it, right? How else are you going to say that? The poor man was just marrying people. He was just making sure Joe and Mary were happy, and he gets his head chopped off for it. if I wasn't mad at the church already. Like, seriously. There's, I'm sure, a lot of good people within that organization. But man, they make it hard. They make it hard to love it. You know? In the 1400s, Valentine is described as a temple priest. And this is the information that led to me learning about his beheading. So that was in the 1400s that was noticed. He was beheaded by an emperor, Claudius II. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm thinking Claudius, Emperor Claudius II. You got your head stuck up something if you think somebody just marrying happy couples needed to be beheaded. What, were you unhappy that St. Valentine went and married off Josephine because you wanted her for your 10th wife? The lights just blinked here. Did you guys see that? Anyway. So, one of the other weird things that I learned, and excuse me for scratching my head, does anybody ever get that, not an itchy sensation, but when you're due for a wash, as you can see, my hair is a little due for a wash. I mean, it's still looking good, little flyaways, but it gets that like oil buildup and your hair follicles start to hurt on your scalp. Am I the only one? Is it just me? All right. Oh, I'm glad it's just me because it's a pain in the head. There are noted to be about a dozen or so Valentines. So that's not the cards or the boxes of chocolates. These are the people. So whether they were named Saint Valentine or a variation of the name Valentine, but there was roughly 12 of them and one pope. Of those 12 Valentines people, one of those was a woman. There's not much written about her that I found. Now, if there's lots of out there that you guys can find, link it, comment it, tell me about it, because I'd love to know more about this female Valentine. Who was she? What'd she do? I always love to know about the woman and empowering the woman. But maybe that's because I'm a girl. Maybe. Yeah, just maybe. I'm losing my place. The saint we celebrate on Valentine's Day is officially known as Saint Valentine of Rome. So I think we established that a little bit already. That's like a yeah, I know fact now. Valentine, this was cool. Valentinus? I think I butchered that. From the Latin word for worthy, powerful, and strong. I think that's pretty neat. I mean, I'd like to think that Valentine, now associated with the Day of Love, that could be translated to powerful, strong, and worthy. That seems appropriate. The Saint Valentine, oh my goodness, pardon me, I'm going to take another drink of water. Saint Valentine is the patron saint of, can anybody guess it? Can you? I don't think you can. He's a patron saint of beekeepers and epilepsy. Who saw that coming? And if you saw that coming, if you knew that, you leave a comment. I really want to know who else out there knew that. I had no clue. I was like, okay. Beekeepers and epilepsy? Really? Alright. Good going, Valentine. He was also the patron saint of lovers, of engaged couples, and of happy marriages. That I saw coming. But beekeepers and epilepsy, never saw that one. So you could say you learn something new every day. I hope I taught you something. Did I teach you anything? Do I ever teach you anything? Do you know everything? Am I just the last to know? Yeah, I think I am. Most times I think I am. You can find Valentine's skull in Rome. If you're ever there, if you're in Rome, when in Rome, go see a skull. This skull is flower adorned, and it is on display. I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong, just in case you're in Rome right now listening and you want to run and see it. It is on display in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedin, Rome. And the place is spelled Cosmedin, Rome. So if you're there, if you're traveling to Rome, if you live in Rome, please stop in and see a skull. Nothing better to do. Maybe it's raining outside. Maybe you have to wait for the wine to chill. Go see the skull. If I'm in Rome, I'm gonna go see it. I mean, flower adorned? Come on, that sounds awesome. Okay, so now we get into when was the first, when did St. Valentine's Day go from just a person to an actual day that we celebrate? I did give you a spoiler that wasn't until the 14th century. So let's jump to that now. English poet, Lord, I'm going to get this one wrong. Geoffrey Chaucer? Oh my goodness, I hope I said that right. He may have actually invented the holiday we know today. This Hallmark, some people say made up holiday, but prior to him writing a poem about St. Valentine's Day and how we kind of see it today, there was no record, none in existence, of a romantic celebration for Valentine's Day. So his poem, his work in 1375, yes, I said 1375, his work was called Parliament of Fowls. Parliament of Fowls. Seems like the poem I just picked up yesterday. So in this poem, I'm going to read a quote from it in just a short bit. He links the traditional courtship of love to Valentine's Day. And he wrote, quote, "For this was sent on St. Valentine's Day, when every fowl cometh thither to choose his mate. He may have invented the holiday as we know it today." So he's saying that birds find their mate on Valentine's Day. But, he may have said that, but I really believe this next bit of information is really why we have St. Valentine's Day on the 14th of December, or February. What month is it? What month is it? Where are we? Can I get some vodka in this, please? Water's just not cutting it. Okay. This next bit of information, this one is going to get you. I bet you'll believe me. Why do I believe that this is why we celebrate Valentine's Day? Well, what is the Roman Catholic Church really good at? I think it's really good at taking something that wasn't theirs and making it theirs and saying it was theirs from the dawn of time, and then shutting everybody else down who was celebrating something different and saying what they're doing is witchcraft, or what they're doing is Satan worship, and what they're doing is not good. No. So, let me share what I learned. The origins of Valentine's Day, a pagan festival in February. I got the month right this time. Okay. Some believe that Valentine's Day is celebrated in the middle of February to commemorate an anniversary of Valentine's death on or around 270 AD. Others claim it was the Christian Church that may have decided to place Valentine's Day feast in the middle of February in an effort to Christianize the pagan celebration. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna butcher this one. Celebration of Lupercalia. This is celebrated around February 15th as an agricultural festival to bring on the fruits of spring, to I guess warm the earth. The pagan festival was celebrated. There was some, I don't really want to go into exactly what they did. If you want to look that up yourself, I am going to link the source in the show notes, so you certainly can. But to say the words out loud in today's day, I'm just not comfortable with that. But they basically would do some stuff in order to pass on fertility to women. That's pretty much, it was, yeah. You can go read all of what they did, but it was a fertility ritual in very, very pre-spring. It's still in the winter. So the women would, they believed that this ritual would make them more fertile for the coming year. And then they would put their names in this big urn in the center of the city. And city's bachelors would come and choose a name to become paired with. And these matches often ended up married. Well, that seems like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Nope. The Lupercalia survived the initial rise of Christianity, but it was outlawed and deemed unchristian. How dare they? Like, I mean, I'm not down with the whole ritual thing, and like I said, you go read about that. I'm not down with that, especially in like today's day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think those things would pass today as something you can do. But I also don't believe in somebody coming in and saying you can't do that because it doesn't align with what we believe. That to me is just bullshit. At the end of the 5th century, when Pope Gelasius declared February 14th as St. Patrick's Day. Or, oh my God. You would think there was vodka in my water, wouldn't you? February 14th as St. Valentine's Day. Oh my dear Lord. It is a Saturday night, right? Like, you wouldn't believe me that this has no alcohol in it. You wouldn't believe me that I'm completely sober. But that is the truth. I am. I just don't know what the hell I'm reading anymore or saying. Okay, so he said Pope Gelasius declared February 14th as St. Valentine's Day, and that was in the 5th century. So from the 5th century to the 14th century, we did nothing about it as, you know, a people. But again, I don't think anybody really cared. Just saying. Valentine's greetings were popular as far back as the Middle Ages, though written Valentines didn't begin to appear until after the 1400s. So in the 15th century, people started writing handwritten letters to each other to express their love for each other and their wish for them to be their Valentine. The oldest known Valentine still in existence today was a poem written in 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London, following his capture at the Battle of Agincourt. This greeting is now part of the manuscript collection of the British Library in London, England. So if you're traveling around Europe, you stop in Rome and see a skull, you go to London and you can see this poem written in 1415 from a prison, from the Tower of London. I bet it's all mushy and lovely. Several years later, it is believed that King Henry V had written a letter to his Valentine, Catherine of Valois, but he didn't write it himself. Being a king, I mean, why would you? No, he hired somebody called a writer named John Lydgate to compose the letter for him. It's like, I'm a king. I don't need to do that shit. You go write that for me and send that to my girl. Yeah, okay. King or not, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. Right? I mean, I can go on a whole tangent about how some people feel entitled over others. But I'm not. Let's find out who the cute little baby cherub is. We all know him as Cupid. But really, who is Cupid? So Cupid, like I said, is often portrayed on Valentine's Day as this naked cherub launching arrows of love into unsuspecting lovers. The Roman god Cupid has his roots in Greek mythology as a Greek god of love, Eros. If you listened to my last episode, you would know that Eros is a Greek word for love, one of the 8. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but a Greek god named Eros uses arrows. Please. It was a little too easy. Accounts of his birth vary. Some say he was the son of Nyx and Erebus. Others say Aphrodite and Ares. And others still suggest that maybe he was the son of Iris and Zephyrus. God knows. One of those gods know. Whoever knows. Right now, he's a chubby little baby with wings and an arrow. Who was he? If you know, let me know. According to the Greek archaic poet, Eros was a handsome immortal, played with the emotions of gods and men. My fuck. I can't get through this. You can tell I'm not a Valentine's girl, can't ya? Is it coming across? I mean, come on. I'm only on page... We're like almost a half an hour in, and I still have, oh my god, like 10 pages. We're not gonna, I'll edit a lot of this out. Don't worry. I'm not gonna make you sit here forever. So, he was an immortal, played with the emotions of gods and men, using golden arrows to incite love. Anyway, now he's a chubby child. And he's on all kinds of Valentine's Day cards, and you get like things you can put on walls like I did the hearts. It's Cupid. He's cute. Typical Valentine's Day greetings and gifts. Now let's get into the actual knit and grit of Valentine's Day, right? So where do you think this kind of thing kind of blew up? I'm going to give you a hint. Starts with a U, ends with an SA. Another one starts with a U, ends in a K. Both the biggest countries of serial killers and both the biggest countries of Valentine's Day gifts and cards. Does anybody else find that ironic? I mean, come on. So the United States and England and the UK, they are the biggest distributors of Valentine's Day cards. Some may argue it's large populations. Some may argue it's large Christianity. There's all kinds of reasons why. But in this article, it just talks about how there's many countries that celebrate Valentine's Day. Canada does. Hence why I can go to a local store and grab some crap to stick up on the wall. Mexico, United Kingdom, France, Australia, English countries. Go figure. Again, I'm not going to get on a rant. That's for another episode, I think. Entitled English People. Oh dear. So yes. The mother of Valentine. Does anybody know who that is? And I'm not going to spare you any hang time here. That was Esther A. Howland. And she was, she started the mass production of Valentine's Day cards in the United States, and I believe she was around the Massachusetts area. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's where she was from, though. And in England, there was a gentleman in England, and I'm going to find him momentarily, because I'm kind of just skipping through my notes now, because some of this is a little repetitive, to be quite honest. A little repetitive. Oh dear, I can't find it. Yeah, well, okay, so let's get into some fun stuff. Who has heard of the Vinegar Valentine? Anybody? Nobody? Anybody? Everybody? Okay, so a Vinegar Valentine is basically a salty Valentine. That's when, instead of sending all your lovey, cushy, corny, sweet, super sweet, icky stuff like love to your Valentine in a handwritten card or a pre-bought card or whatever, you're sending them a mean note. This started fairly early. I mean, pretty much when Valentine's cards started. Salty vinegar Valentines, they started. And they kind of, when I started this research and I discovered Vinegar Valentines, because I had never heard of them before. I've heard of funny Valentines. I've heard of mocking Valentines. I've heard of, you know, sarcasm Valentines, but never mean Valentines. Now listen to this. Here's some quotes. Here's what some of these Valentines would say. To my Valentine, 'tis a lemon that I hand you and bid you now skidoo. Because I love another, there is no chance for you. Like, come on, that's awesome. That is awesome. Another depicts a woman dousing an unsuspected man with a bucket of water, and the caption reads, "Here's a cool reception." It warns, telling the old fellow that he best stop away. Love it. Love it. I think it's hilarious. Now, I wish I could, maybe we could just start writing Vinegar Valentines again. Maybe not being mean-spirited. Let's change the vibe here. I'm not talking about being mean and mean-spirited to somebody, but I think it's quite funny to be salty, you know, to put a little spice out there. Not in a romantic way, but in a little, like, I don't have a Valentine, but I can certainly send a Vinegar Valentine. I think that would be hilarious. The Victorians, as we learned through the poet Geoffrey Chaucer, that the Victorians put the romantic spin on Valentine's Day. But it was also pretty much the Victorians that started sending these Vinegar Valentines a lot. I mean, they would send a lot of Valentines anyway, but so much that the postal service in Great Britain would give mail carriers, postal service carriers, an extra meal around Valentine's just to get all the cards delivered. Millions of cards were sent. And most of the Vinegar Valentines are kind of like gone now. Yeah, the great majority are gone. Annabella Poland says that what are known as Vinegar Valentines by 21st century dealers and collectors seem to have their origin in 1830s and 1840s. There's really nothing more I can say about Vinegar Valentines. I mean, they were mocking, they were comical. There was a target. This point made me a little bit like, of course. There was a target of the Vinegar Valentines towards the women's suffrage movement in the United States. Like, women are just trying to get the right to vote and have a voice. And you've got to send them Vinegar Valentines. That's not cool. Send a Vinegar Valentine from one of those women to those men, and I'd be laughing my ass off. You know what I mean? While traditional Valentines at this period, 1830s, 1840s, were elaborate, handmade with lace and really nice. You put your time in when you had these made, and you paid a lot for them, because if they were being made and mass produced by the person in London and the person in the United States, then they weren't like in a production line in a factory making these. These were handmade Valentines, so you paid for them. The Vinegar Valentines, however, were pretty cheap. There was like a little piece of paper like this, little scratch marks on it for your writing. They were really cheap. And some postmasters wouldn't even deliver them because they were too vinegary. Could you imagine something being that sour? You're like, nope, I don't care. I'm not delivering that. So a few Vinegar Valentine cards were preserved. There's not many left in the world. Because they were mailed anonymously, most senders of Vinegar Valentines faced few repercussions. And adding insult to injury, this is in the UK, I think. It didn't really say, but most of this article was based out of like information from the UK. Adding insult to injury, senders didn't even pay for the cost of the postage. They sent it COD, cash on delivery. The receiver had to pay for the salty card. That's a little salt in the wounds, or vinegar in the wounds. Okay. Now this last point on Vinegar Valentines really hits home for today's age. And it says, today, very few Valentine's Day cards convey such a mean spirit. But, one of the arguments is modern day equivalent for cruel and anonymous jibes exists. Social media. Nothing more can be said about that, can it? Alrighty then. So here we have the creation of the first box of Valentine's chocolates. This is my favorite part of the article. My favorite part. So who do you think made the first box of Valentine's chocolates? I'm going to give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. Cadbury. I mean, come on, of course it was Cadbury. So Richard Cadbury in 1840, he wanted to take, let me get the exact quote here. So he wanted to take the best eating chocolate, and because Valentine's Day was kind of like, it was moving in the right direction, if you know what I mean, like marketing wise, he's like, I could do something with this eating chocolate. He had derived the best that Britons had ever had of drinking chocolate, but the solids that came off of that he made into eating chocolate. Pardon me. And so he took this eating chocolate that was really good, and he's like, I can put those into a beautiful heart-shaped box and market it that not only was somebody getting a beautiful heart-shaped box as a gift with chocolates inside that were wonderful chocolates by me, Mr. Richard Cadbury, but the box could also be used as a means to store a lock of hair from their love, or letters, love letters. So, hence the birth of the heart-shaped box of chocolates that is on every shelf, in every store, everywhere you look. Come January 2nd. They're everywhere. I mean, you can't go in a corner store without having even the smallest heart-shaped box of chocolates. I don't have any because I don't buy that shit. Nobody gives me that shit. But I bought myself candy today because I like candy. Nobody buys me that either. This is just going to be sad, isn't it? So that's it, guys. I kind of skimmed through the last bit, but I gave you the bulk of it. As far as the really good information out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to read every point. We don't want to be here forever. I knew this one was going to be long. As you can see, it's quite thick, the amount of research, and I put it in point form for myself. But I gathered the research. There's a lot of sources here. I'm going to put them in the show notes and in the description of the video. So if you want to learn any more where I got this all not on like Wiki or anything. I actually got all these articles off the History Channel. And so I'm sure there's much more. I do like this topic, although yes, I could have gone into a few tangents there. And maybe I will on another date. A date with you. Or you. Or you. And until next week, when we're going to discuss some true crime in relations to Valentine's Day. Let's keep on the Valentine's Day theme. I came across a few articles that looked really interesting regarding some true crime. So we'll stick to our roots and we'll go back to true crime next week. And until then, friends, take care.